welcome to another solid report. It is a brand new week. That is the last trading week of January. And the markets are just, I don't know what to say. They're just going up. I mean, we saw the futures open up yesterday. The Qs were down about 1%. The futures open. And it's just been getting bought up since then. Now the Qs are up about 62 basis points. Mega caps are just ripping. Meta is at 675 almost. Microsoft is almost at 475. Everything else is down, but I mean, like, what else? Actually, I'm sorry. Apple is at 256. So they're all up pretty considerably. I mean, what do you have reporting this week? You have Apple reporting this week. You have Meta reporting this week. You have Microsoft reporting this week. And Tesla, of course. But Tesla is just an extremely volatile, high beta mega cap stock for the most part. I mean, I don't see anything falling off a cliff here. The only thing that I could say is probably not doing too well today, and you think that it would be up a lot more, is Iron and Nebius. In fact, I mean, these two are actually down. Iron's down about 7%, but keep in mind, Iron went on a crazy run for like the last couple of weeks. It was up almost 30%. So giving back 7% today isn't really a big deal. But CoreWeave did have an announcement this morning. We're going to discuss a little bit later on in the show. But for the most part, I mean, you have earnings this week. And not only do you have earnings this week, but you also have the FOMC meeting this week. So you're going to get an FOMC decision, which we'll take a look at those percentages in a little bit. But as far as I can see, I mean, besides Intel basically crapping the bed about 30% of its earnings, I mean, things are looking pretty dandy, right? Like, it doesn't look like anything is falling off a cliff, in my opinion. Markets have recovered from the 50 EMA that it lost last week that we were looking at pretty considerably, actually. We're really sitting near all-time highs. I mean, how far away from all-time highs? We're very close to having a closing all-time high today. We'll take a look at some charts, but things are looking pretty good. So what is going on, everyone? How are you? What is going on, Dr. Gonzo? What's going on, Conrad? Satya, not Satya Nadella, but Satya. I guess the Satya, if you want to go there. SVGX, what's going on? What's going on, Seattle? What's going on, Seahawks fans? What is not going on, Rams fans? I apologize. I mean, I don't know what to apologize for, actually. That was a pretty crazy game. A good game. Still a good game, but I don't know. They muffed a couple of punts there, and they finally switched the receiver. But I don't know. Even without that, I'm not sure if that still would have won it. Anyway, but we'll see. They also had that weird call in the fourth quarter where it was a controversial first down by the Seahawks. But, I do digress. We are back at the Seahawks versus the Patriots again for the Super Bowl, and that is in 2 weeks. We have a long time until Bad Bunny starts dancing in a dress. But let's take a look at the markets over here, see what's going on, and then we're going to jump into the narrative today. Whoa, what's going on there? All right, here we go. So, like I mentioned, the Qs are about 62 basis points. SPY is up about 66 basis points. The RSP is at 25 basis points today. So this is obviously mega cap weighted. You can see a lot of mega caps here up like triple percentages. So 3% plus on Apple, 2% on Google. Meta is 2.5%. Microsoft 1.5%. I mean, these are very strong weighted mega caps here. And arguably, besides NVIDIA, this is the top, I believe this is second place, third place. Yeah, second, third, and fourth place mega cap stocks are up 2% today. So that is going to make the market move, my friends. That is definitely going to make the market move. And even NVIDIA isn't even down that much, down about 64 basis points. So, things are looking pretty good over here. Arista Network is up 6% today, and on top of Arista Network up 6% today, you also have the other Inference company, Cloudflare. I'll explain a little bit of that one in a second, but that's 11.5% up today. DigitalOcean is up over 10% today, but overall, this looks like a software comeback. I mean, you have IGV, the software ETF, is up about 1.5% today, and you have SOX down today, which has basically been leading the way up. Like, semiconductors are still like here around all-time highs as far as an ETF goes. Software stocks, this could make a little bit of a run, in my opinion. I mean, you have a bit of work to do over here. I don't know exactly like where it's at right now, but I mean, you still have a bit of work to do. It's still below all the moving averages. It still needs to recover the 9 and 21 EMA and the 50 EMA especially. But, a little bit of a good positive movement here. Oh, wow. Alibaba actually went red. That was surprising. I didn't think that was going to happen. And it did break out of that bull flag that I pointed out the other week. But, yeah, so we got a few things to go on with today's show. we have Meta. We're gonna look a little bit at the earnings for Meta that are coming up on Wednesday. We're also gonna look at more Megacap earnings on their Earnings Hub website. Going to be looking at Microsoft reporting this week. Tesla's reporting this week. ServiceNow is reporting this week. Apple is not reporting this week, and Amazon is not reporting this week. They're going to be reporting next week. We're going to look into that one. The rare earth reversal. You know, a lot of these rare earth stocks like UAMY, antimony, or MP, or USAR. Actually, I think USAR is still up. CRML, or sorry, not CRML, but CRML. Those were up pretty considerably last night in overnight markets, and they've really given back a lot of those gains. So we're going to look at some of those stocks later on. And the Foundry strategy, IonQ, quantum computing, is acquiring SKYwater. If you guys were tuning in a few weeks ago, I was looking at the SKYwater chart. I guess I got a little bit too optimistic and waiting for an entry there. It was around like 16, 17 bucks. I would have had an easy double if I just bought it anyway. That would have been a sizable gain because I would have gotten some options. But unfortunately, you can't catch them all. And the Agentic AI Inference strategy, that is Cloudflare as well as the DOCN. I'm going to provide my input on those. So let's go ahead and get on with the show. But to kick things off here, we had a little bit of a movement lately with someone named Miss Nancy Pelosi. All right, so this lady is I don't know who's trading her book, but she made some crazy moves this morning, and she's been making some crazy moves lately, and somehow catching the massive upside of AI. I mean, you know, you can't really blame her. I mean, like, someone's managing a portfolio, and like they're not buying like crazy stocks that no one's ever heard of. Like she's buying Amazon, Apple, Google, Amazon, you know, and she's selling stocks that are not working, like PayPal. She exercised call options on Tempest AI, you know, and all this stuff. She sold Disney, which is actually a very interesting move to see her do. But like, this isn't like anything out of the ordinary. She's not doing like deep research on stocks and names that no one heard about. Like these are just big names in the AI wave, right? And she's buying into strength. She's not doing this on weakness, right? So you have over here that she added 50. She bought 20 Google call options that are deep in the money. Strike of $150 expiring in a year. And she moved over to the donor advisor fund. I'm assuming this is some sort of tax tactic over here. She bought 20 Amazon call options, but this would actually make up for the 20,000 shares that she did sell out of. So she basically exercised a bunch of call options representing 5,000 shares. And then she sold 20,000 shares and she bought 20 call options. So she basically is trying to conserve some capital here by buying the call options that are already in the money for Amazon. For Google, she didn't sell any Google shares. She actually added more options for Google. Apple, she sold 45,000 Apple shares and then bought about $20,000 worth of equivalent shares. And then the tax thing that she did over here. Again, like I'm not a multimillionaire, like multi-millionaire like Nancy Pelosi, but I mean, let's be honest, like this is definitely some sort of tax benefit she's doing. And then she sold the NVIDIA shares, 20,000 and bought 20 call options. So she's basically doing the same thing here. Actually, no, my bad. Each thing is 100 shares. So she bought 2,000 shares equivalent. And for Amazon, she bought 2,000 shares equivalent. So that's actually about 18,000 short here, 18,000 short here. And then you also make up for the 5,000. So that's about 15,000. Hey, interesting. Okay, so then maybe she took a lot of profit. It looks like she took a lot of profit. I don't think this is necessarily profit. She sold 5,000 shares of PayPal. I want to see what PayPal is doing today. Actually, PayPal is green today. Wow, can't have a green day without PayPal being green. So kudos to the PayPal shareholders. You have another green day today. I'm actually looking at this chart over here for the PayPal. Right here. Yeah, I mean, it's green today, but like, geez, like, I mean, yeah, I would not be celebrating if I was still holding PayPal. But I mean, you know, that's where conviction comes in. And look, Meta is almost at 475 here, which is pretty nice to see. So the Nancy Pelosi is obviously doing very well for the last couple of years, basically going long like all of these AI stocks. And these are all Megacap stocks, right? So she's doing really good. I wonder if she's going to go long Adobe. We'll see if she actually goes long Adobe. But Yeah, I mean, why is ANET, but oops, my bad. Why is ANET moving up, but Credo keeps tanking? Let's see what Credo's doing in the chart. I'll share the chart right now. This doesn't look like it's tanking. Tanking would be a massive move down. I mean, it's trending down, if that's what you meant to say. But I wouldn't say this is tanking. I mean, it made this huge move, but it's still consolidating. It looks like it doesn't look like it's tanking. But you're really being tested in your thesis over here if you're in Kratos. So not Kratos, Credo. Credo is more of a competitor to Astera Labs, I believe. Yeah, I think Credo is more of a Astera Labs competitor. If I look at Astera Labs, down 2% today. So I don't know. I don't think that I don't think Arista Network is kind of the same thing. Arista Network is more of like the hardware for networking. Astera Labs and I believe Credo, don't quote me on that, but I know Astera Labs does the retimers for basically speeding up the packets that are going through Ethernet cables. So you're talking about the communication between different GPU clusters. Arista Network is more of like the whole network traffic connection, right? So Arista Network's making a pretty big move here, but it needs to make a good decision and break out here upwards. So you need to see some continuation there. Broadcom is up about 2%, but again, consolidation in my opinion. ASML just keeps on making new all-time highs. Yeah, new all-time highs. So that's doing pretty well. But I mean, I would say for the most part, the market looks pretty healthy. It doesn't look like it's going to be falling off a cliff anytime soon. Historically, even during earnings season is historically bullish time to be in the stock market. So, unless of course the Megacaps come in and they start giving like terrible guidance and start showing that they're losing earnings power, I think the market's going to continue going up during this session. All right, so if you are on the Sam Badawi channel, go ahead and tune into the Wolf Financial YouTube channel they have over there. YouTube.com/@Wolf Financial. I'm going to throw the link over here in the chat, and I'm also going to throw the link over to the Wolf YouTube video right here. So go ahead, jump on over there if you're on my channel. I'm going to be cutting this broadcast out. I'm going to be strictly on the Wolf channel. Thank you very much. All right, so let's move on with the show. All right, so we're going to look a little bit into some meta over here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and share this screen. I thought this was pretty funny, mostly because it's like, dude, every single time meta falls, not you guys. I know you guys are meta bulls, or most of you guys are meta bulls. I still remember when meta was 587. It was like, this thing's going to 500, right? And of course, it went the opposite direction. Then it pulled back again. Recently, went to around $600. And then people were like, "Oh, okay, I'll buy it in $500." And then look where it is today, 672. I mean, this is like one of those things where it's like, if you aren't DCAing in, if you're not nibbling in, you're probably going to miss out. And the same thing happened to me with Skywater, which is okay. That's fine. But I mean, Meta is a pretty strong thesis when it comes to AI. I think what a lot of people are missing with Meta is that, dude, they don't need to like profit massively from the AI boom. They already are with their family of apps, and they're utilizing all their infrastructure to help grow their family of apps and their app economy. So, like, what is the bear case with Meta unless you think Mark Zuckerberg is going to spend money into infinity and go broke? Well, not really go broke, but basically lose all the profitability like he did in 2022. I think he basically proved that he's not going to do that because, for the most part, they cut 30% of spending for Reality Labs. They're cutting more headcount. So I don't know. Meta is 40% operating margins. It's probably continue staying there. I already went through the financials for Meta back last week. And yeah, they're 40% operating margins, and they're probably going to beat the guides that they gave last quarter. And they're probably going to continue going up. Let me actually look for the Meta. Hold on. Meta app economy. They have a pretty good chart from Meta. Okay. This is a pretty good one. All right, I'll share this tab, and I'm going to put this one in the comments in case anybody wants to check it out. So we have the operating profit for Meta, and this is as of last quarter. They're sitting at $25 billion in profit, and they had a Reality Labs of minus $4 billion. So they're still profitable, right? And it looks like this is kind of stabilizing a little bit with the Reality Labs losses. And when you think of Reality Labs, this is the hardware, right? So like I don't think this is particularly the best place to be throwing more money at right now. But the budget by up to 30%. So what do you think is going to happen to the operating margins next quarter? They're going to go up, all right? Unless he doesn't slash it in the last quarter. So I think the quarter is all the way up to the end of December. If he did not make those moves before the end of the year, then you're not really going to see it. But you're going to see it in the guidance, that's for sure. And then also over here, this is the R&D spend, and this has obviously gone up dramatically. So let's see what happens to this chart in fiscal AI when as of next quarter. Let's see what those numbers are going to look. But also, they jump into Marvel. Marvel I might talk about a little bit because there was some news with Microsoft releasing the new accelerators that they do develop in-house. So I don't know if that is actually Marvell designing those chips for them, but we'll go ahead and take a look at that one. But I do think Meta is probably going to have a pretty good quarter. And I think the market is reflecting that. The fact that they're buying up this stock. I mean, Meta has been on a massive run. Let me actually take a look at the Meta chart real quick. All right, so this is the Meta chart, and like, just look at this last few days. Like, this is a crazy move in the last few days. So if we go all the way to this close, all the way to now, that's an 11.3% move for a $1.7 trillion market cap that it's at right now. So that's basically like a almost $200 billion move, right? So when I look at that happening, and I look at Apple is up about 3% today, and that's almost a $4 trillion company. And you have Google up almost 2% today, and that's a $4 trillion company. And you have Microsoft up about 1.4% today, and that's a $3.5 trillion. I mean, the money's making the market move, right? It's not stopping, or at least it's not stopping today. I mean, but we'll still see that this Microsoft chart does not look good at all. But you know, the money can come flowing back into this thing before you know it. But I'm gonna remain bullish, right? Like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of bears out there that are calling for like the market tops, and it's like, are you like some sort of genius where you know the market's gonna top before it actually happens? Like, I don't care what kind of technical analysis you're looking at or whatever, but like you can look at all your ascending triangles, head and shoulders, and whatever, but like it does not want to go below. It does not want to stay below the 50-day moving average. And the same thing with SPY. It does not want to stay below the 50-day moving average, so they're just going to keep getting bought up, right? And this got a little bit scary over here, but it got bought up, right? So it's going to keep getting bought up, and I would just keep saying dancing until the rain stops, right? So yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Otherwise, they're going to miss the whole run, because if you got very bearish here at the very bottom, which a lot of banks did, this is what happens, right? So I'd be very careful trying to time the market. Timing the market is in my opinion, a fool's errand. And my screen stopped sharing. Okay. That's all good. So let's move on to the next thing that we got. All right. So we have Earnings Hub. Let me bring up the Earnings Hub calendar over here. We're going to take a look at some estimates for the stock market. And if I take a look, like I mentioned, we have Meta reporting on Wednesday after close, and beat. I wonder what they're going to do next quarter. They're most likely going to beat. The only quarters that they missed was basically the top of 2021 and 2022, where basically everyone was missing estimates. But they have beaten considerably every single quarter. Last quarter, I think there was a charge off or whatever that didn't really look too good for them. But I think they're still going to beat this quarter. As far as revenue goes, they've beaten 14 of the 17 quarters. So they're probably going to beat this quarter again. And let's take a look at the max chart. I mean, this is basically beats across the board, like 47 to 54. So then that's like what you miss, maybe like 7% of your quarters. And even so, the stock is significantly higher. And this is why you see Meta a lot higher in the last 2 to 3 years, because they just constant beats across the board, constant guide ups. The estimates for next quarter is about $58.41 billion in revenue and $8.18 for EPS. But it is going to be the guidance. Of course, you have to beat the guidance and raise it. $56 billion, $59 billion. And the previous move for the last earnings was down 11%. So I still remember that. That was a pretty considerable move down. after the earnings. So we'll see what happens with that one. If Meta comes down 11.3% after earnings, that's going to basically push it to below. I think that's going to be, no, it's not going to be below $600, but it's going to be somewhere around there. So let's just say things will look pretty good if they're down about 11% after earnings. They have to report, they'd have to miss guidance again. They'd have to say something bad as far as operating profitability, which is what they let out of the bag last quarter. You know, there have to be some pretty bad summaries. But overall, last quarter was a pretty decent quarter, but it wasn't like blow out of the water quarter that should be an $800 stock. That's where the problem was. All right, so the next thing that's also reporting as well is Tesla reporting earnings. And I mean, this thing is just like, wow. Like, I don't know. This is a theme bull case for Tesla. The thesis is all thematic when it comes to Tesla. You're not buying Tesla because you think they're going to accelerate revenue next quarter or that they're going to beat their EPS estimates. You're not buying because they're going to have a higher guidance, which I don't even think they give guidance in the first place. And you're not buying because of some surprise commentary he's going to say in the earnings call. You're buying it because you believe in the future of Tesla. And that is the only reason why Tesla goes up, because the future is just very bright for Tesla. I mean, you have the richest man in the entire world pushing civilization toward Mars. And you have Starship, the third version of Starship being launched this year. I mean, there's a lot of exciting reasons to be in Tesla. You have Optimus basically being sold to the public markets by the end of the year. There's a lot of exciting things to be in Tesla, but Tesla will never be fair value. Like, if you're waiting for Tesla to be fair value, good luck. Like, just don't even bother owning this stock if that's going to be the case. Yeah, no, I mean, for real, man. Like, come on, like, don't wait for Tesla to be fair value. I don't remember the last time I ever saw like a model on Tesla that showed that it's going to be profitable or accelerating profitability. They are already profitable, but accelerating profitability anytime soon. Like, that's just the story of Tesla. That's just what always happens. SpaceX IPO and space theme could help Amazon too. Oh, wow. Amazon is actually reporting next week. So that's going to be a very interesting earnings to look at. I mean, that is a large part of my portfolio. Google reports next week. Qualcomm reports next week. AMD, Supermicro, Amazon, Reddit, IREN. IREN is the same day as Amazon. Wow, that's going to be a very busy day. Yeah, I'm probably going to stream those earnings next week. That'd be pretty crazy. You even have a lot of stuff. But I don't want to get into next week. Let's focus on today, everyone. Let's focus on the present. Let's live in the present. All right, so SanDisk also reports on Thursday. Oh, wow. Apple does report. And so does Microsoft. So Microsoft's reporting $80 billion. Is that insane? An $80 billion quarter. Wow. $3.86 for the estimate. Guidance is around $80 billion. So let's make sure they beat that guidance. And like, they're basically beating every single quarter over here. So we'll see what happens with that one. Apple, you're looking at $138 billion quarter. $2.66 is the estimate. They do provide guidance, I believe, in the earnings call. So you're not going to get that in here in Earnings Hub, I believe. But the previous move after earnings, I mean, it's going to be a flat after earnings. In fact, I mean, I would be an option seller for the Apple earnings if I was going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything for Apple's earnings, but if I were to do something, I would be option selling, because this thing is always flat the next day. I do wonder though, if it's like size to price in. So do we have the move estimate here? Earnings subscore info. No, I don't think we have the estimated move here after the earnings. Interesting. Oh, wow. That's a lot of movement for Apple. Yeah. All right. So we'll take a look at that one. Today, after hours, you really don't have a lot. Is this the company that makes those floors? Is Nucor the company that makes those floors? Oh, largest steel manufacturer. Interesting. All right. Bros reporting today. Bros. Alexandria Real Estate. This stock has just been in a downtrend, if I recall. Interesting. They're reporting today. Nothing really big reporting today, even in the small caps, nothing really big. Tomorrow, you do have some things that are reporting. They're going to be pretty big. UNH is reporting tomorrow. I do wonder where that's going to land. That's actually sitting at $350 right now. So a pretty big comeback. Boeing reporting tomorrow. UPS reporting tomorrow. Next Era is reporting tomorrow. That's going to be pretty cool to see. Raytheon reporting tomorrow. GM, HCA Healthcare, JetBlue. Tomorrow, after hours, you have Texas Instruments, pretty big semiconductor play. Seagate, NXT Next Tracker. Why does that sound familiar? I think that's to do with something with data centers, I believe. F5 Networks, Logitech, Learn, Leering. You have ASML on Wednesday morning. That's going to be a market mover most likely. Probably not anything else. Corning, I guess so. Then obviously you have the big earnings after hours on Wednesday. Waste Management, trash company, just constantly returning shareholders a lot of dividends. Very good dividend stock to hold. MasterCard on Thursday morning. Caterpillar, Lockheed Martin, which Lockheed Martin is actually almost an $80 billion company. Like, can you freaking believe that? Can't believe Lockheed Martin 74. No, that's a market cap. No, it's an $134 billion company, but the revenue is $74 billion. Like, that's insane. They're almost earning as much as Microsoft does. Crazy. SAP is reporting on Thursday in the morning, Blackstone. And then after hours, you have Apple, Visa, Western Digital, which is going to be a crazy memory. This is going to be a crazy memory stock move this weekend. Under this Thursday, you have Sandus reporting on Thursday along with Western Digital. Stryker, I know a lot of people have Stryker as well. Sleep apnea machine, ResMed is reporting. KLAC, that is another semiconductor manufacturing company, machinery manufacturing company that's reporting earnings on there. And SoFi is reporting Friday morning. That is such a weird time to report for SoFi. Don't they usually report on like Monday mornings? Interesting. I do wonder if maybe that's going to be in a different stock movement at the end of the day, but we will see. So thank you, 49 of you people, for watching the show. Really appreciate you all. Go ahead, if you're on the Twitter, go ahead to the Wolf_financial YouTube channel to take a look at this and interact with me in real time. You can do it in Twitter, but I can't respond back if you are messaging on Twitter. All right. So next thing we're going to cover is the Microsoft news from this morning. And this is what I wanted to get with when I was talking about Marvell technology. So let's take a look at this over here. So Microsoft unveils the MAIA 200 AI inference chip, right? So how is Microsoft performing today? Did Microsoft just react off this news? Let me actually check real quick to see if Microsoft actually reacted from this news. Let me see the intraday move. No, they're already up. They're already up. But last Friday, they had a massive move upward. Yeah, I still remember this. Basically, the market kind of bottomed here on Wednesday before you had that announcement. The Greenland deal, and Microsoft just been on a massive run since then. I mean, this is definitely not a small move for a Megacap like this. This is a $4 trillion company, and they had a 7.7% move since Thursday. So like, there's definitely a lot of excitement around this, and a lot of big money is definitely excited about it. So we'll take a look at that one. But going back to the news from Microsoft, I did comment on this one saying this is bullish for Marvell if they design this chip. But as always, bullish for TSM and Broadcom, right? So you have Marvell Technology. They design a lot of AI accelerators or ASIC chips, application-specific integrated circuits, chips for a lot of Megacap companies. Specifically for Meta, they designed theirs. For Amazon, we don't know if they actually designed a Trainium processor. They did design the previous two, and there was no confirmation they designed the fourth one that's coming out, or even the third one, actually, for that matter. They did design the Microsoft one in the past, but I think we need to look for confirmation if they did design the Marvell Technology did design their latest AI accelerator. And the reason why TSM is going to benefit off of this is because, hey guys, guess who's fabricating these chips? It's going to be TSM. It's not going to be Intel. It's going to be TSM unless there's some sort of play there with Intel. And Broadcom designs the Google TPUs and a bunch of other AI accelerators, including I believe they're going to be designing the OpenAI AI accelerator chip. So you have big Broadcom and you have mini Broadcom. Kudos to the chip stock investor for coining the baby Broadcom term. But yeah, I mean, when I see this type of news, I kind of think about the price action, and the market knows that Microsoft is involved with Broadcom. But how much do they know? I'm sorry, Microsoft is involved with Marvell Technology, but how much do they know? So I believe this stock was up today. This stock is up today. It's up about 1.5%. But this is just not really the best looking chart right now. You're still below the 100-day moving average and rejected the 100-day moving average. We'll see. I gotta be honest, like the markets love the mega caps right now, right? They're not in love with semiconductors right now. And yeah, you want to get in before it makes its move, but like still, it's like the mega caps are in favor because a lot of them are reporting this week. So you have your 4 mega caps that are reporting this week: Meta, Microsoft, Apple, and Tesla. Tesla's the only one down out of the bunch, but it's still above here, above the 100 MA. So still somewhat constructive chart here. Apple is just, it needs a lot of work to do. Actually, I didn't realize Apple was so low between its moving averages, but we'll see. All right, so let us take a look at this clip here from CNBC. This is going to be discussing about the rare earth stocks because they were up very considerably this morning. Rare earth stocks are up a lot overnight, but for some reason they gave a lot of it away. But let's look a little bit into the reason why they were up in the first place.
Rare earths announcing a collaboration with the U.S. government and a $1.5 billion in private funding. The government's going to provide the company with $1.3 billion in terms of a loan and proposed $277 million in federal funding for a total of $1.6 billion in U.S. government funding. In exchange, the company is going to be issuing to the Department of Commerce 16.1 million shares of common stock and about 17.6 million warrants. USA Rare Earths says the capital will help it accelerate mining and processing of rare earth metals and magnet manufacturing. And Brian Sullivan's got an exclusive interview with the CEO of USA Rare Earths coming up a little bit later today on Power Lunch at 2 p.m. It's another example of the United States government taking stakes and otherwise financing private industry, specifically in industries that it believes are national security related. This is one of those. Of course, it also raises questions just about what people have described as state-sponsored capitalism. Becky.
Yeah, I go back and forth on it. I mean, on the one hand, you don't want to see the government involved in some of these things, but when it comes to national security, things like semiconductors, I think there's almost bipartisan support for a lot of those efforts at this point, realizing that we let ourselves get into a position where we are overly reliant on companies that are in countries that may not be our allies at this point.
Look, I think the big over-under is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will we look back at these investments and describe them the way they, will we look at them as profitable investments, or will they look like Solyndra? And it's so interesting to me that in this moment, there was, or I should say years ago with Solyndra, for example, there was so much consternation. And that was put in the context, by the way, right or wrong, of national security of sorts, or at least sort of a national strategy.
National interest. I don't know that that was national security. I think
around
that was
EVs.
National interest.
Well, the question is whether you believe
climate change is a national threat.
Right.
Yeah.
And whether EVs unto themselves or even vehicles should be considered national security related. Meaning, if we don't have a automobile industry in this country, is that a national security threat?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting to decide which industries we think are, considered national security and which aren't.
Although, look, we look at these things so much differently post-COVID because of the supply chain. It really focused on the supply chain issues and how we had allowed ourselves to rely so heavily on so many other countries. I think it would be hard-pressed to, let's just say, the semiconductor industry. I don't love the way the CHIPS Act set things up. I don't love how they doled out some of the money, but I think it's hard to not argue. I think it's hard to argue that we should not be in a position of trying to have foundries here in this country, particularly when you look at how heavily reliant we are on Taiwan and what China has been saying about their plans for Taiwan down the road, too. All of a sudden, you realize the 20 or 30 years that we spent trying to say, we can do this more efficiently if it's not done here, if it's made other places where it's cheaper, more effective. We can do this for cheaper or more efficiently. All of a sudden, you kind of reframe some of those things and think maybe that's not the best way to go about every decision we make.
I actually think I think about it slightly differently, but maybe we would be in agreement about this. Mm-hmm. To me, the issue isn't whether we should be trying to favor these industries in different ways. The question is how we favor these industries. So historically, whether you like the CHIPS Act, you don't like the CHIPS Act, it was done with a carrot, typically not a stick. We were not trying to take ownership stakes in businesses, which to a large degree create all sorts of perverse incentives long-term down the line. We have done things historically by creating tax incentives. That's been done for.
All right, so that's enough of that. There's obviously a lot of interest in these rare earths because a lot of them are used for constructing factories, chips, and so on. So there's a motive for basically bringing this onshoring. So whether that's in Greenland or basically away from China to reduce the costs, make things more efficient, and basically have ownership of the entire supply chain. Like that's the reason why they're trying to bring TSM over here and all those plants. That's the reason why they're not trying to trade too much with China, because they want to keep everything in-house. The U.S. just wants that power, and specifically the administration just wants that power. And I think a lot of what we saw over the weekend, where the U.S. is basically taking, I think it was 10% of UAMY or USAR. Yeah, they basically took 10% of USAR, I believe. Hold on a second. Let me just take a look at this, confirm real quick. Hold on. Yeah, it was a $1.6 billion investment into USAR, and USAR is currently a $3.91 billion company. So they basically bought like 30% of the company, and that's the reason why it gapped up. We've kind of seen this move happen so many times with a lot of other stocks, but what's interesting, though, is the selling that's happening in a lot of these names today after making their highs. I mean, I don't think it's going to tell anything in the future, but it's just interesting to see that you have a lot of these moves. Let me actually pull up a tweet that I shared yesterday morning. Hold on. Let me just pull up here. All right, here we go. All right, so this is basically your cheat sheet whenever it comes to critical minerals, right? So I don't take any credit for this. This is released from Moo, and I put it on there. So if you guys want to check out this this tweet, you can go ahead and look at it a little bit more closely. But you have over here a lot of names. MP, Monolith. No, that's not Monolith Power. That's MP. That's a different company. I was thinking of a power chip company. IDR, Idaho Strategic Resources, USAR, and this is the one that they took a $1.6 billion stake from. And I'm just going to pull up on the side so you won't be able to see it. But if I look at some of these names, so actually, I'll just share the whole screen. Hold on. All right, so we have MP. And it's made a massive move down. In fact, this is not a good looking chart at all. It's down 9% today, and it was up as much as 4%. So like that's a huge sell right there. 13% intraday move. IDR was also up pretty decent today. It was up about 2% today, but the move down was very dramatic. This is down about 13%. So that's a crazy move down. USAR, we already looked at. It's still up a lot today. But from today's highs, it's down like 17%. So that's a pretty big move down. Critical minerals, again, made a huge move. Didn't make a huge move up. It was up about 6. Well, that is actually a big move. But it dropped down intraday like 20%. TMC, same story. This is a much bigger move down. This is down about 20%. Let me look at some of these names. UUU. Yeah, that made a big move down. LEU. That's been trending down. Arguably still a very strong chart if you zoom out, but TMQ is still up on the day, but did lose a lot of its gains. Next Gen Energy. Yeah, that made a big move down. I mean, I don't know what it's trying to tell us, but all of these got sold today. Oh wow, that one's a big move. Okay, that's like 20%. Looks like it's a lot bigger though. But yeah, of all of these, that a lot of these enrichment companies, a lot of these copper. Well, actually, let's take a look at the copper companies. Those are probably still up, right? Okay, that one's still up. All right. HBM is still up. Came down a little bit. All right. So Trilogy, TMQ. All right, that's still up. Freeport is the most important one. That's one a lot of people know about. Still up, but it did lose a lot of it. Actually, what's COPX doing? Okay, COPX is coming down a little bit. Silver's still up. I wonder if these top today, actually. That'd be really. I'm gonna look from the sidelines. I'm not gonna try to short any of these things. I don't have a. I'm not a psycho. I would not try to short a parabolic chart like that. But I mean, we will see, guys. We'll see what happens with that one. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Foundry strategy. We did have some news come out with IonQ. I believe I have. Okay, so I think I just have the press release for it. I will share my tweet that I made about it this morning. All right, so IonQ is acquiring SKYwater technology in a $1.8 billion deal at $35 per share. And let me just get their press release real quick. I believe they had a press release for it, right? Huh, I thought they did. Yeah, they did. All right, I'll share this tab. All right, IonQ to acquire SKYwater technology, creating the only vertically integrated full-stack quantum platform company. All right, accelerate. All right, whatever. The world's leading quantum company in SKYwater, the largest exclusively U.S.-based pure-play semiconductor foundry, which is true. Today announced they've entered a definitive agreement pursuant to which IonQ will acquire SKYwater for $35 per share in a cash and stock transaction, implying subject to a collar. So a collar is basically like if the stock falls, SKYwater will get more IonQ shares. If the stock rises, SKYwater will get less IonQ shares. Actually, no, it's the other way around. So yeah, actually that is true. So it depends on how SKYwater stock reacts to this. There's like a bit of a protective downside when it comes to a collar agreement. And a lot of these companies, when they do acquisitions, they do put in a collar agreement, right? So then that way the companies acquiring them won't give out like more of their stock if the company getting acquired does go down, and it kind of protects themselves, right? So it's going to be $1.8 billion either way, right? So if SKYwater goes down, that means they're going to be getting more IonQ stock. If SKYwater goes up, that means going to be getting less IonQ stock. It's still going to be a $1.8 billion agreement. But for the most part, this is saying that the transformational acquisition enables IonQ to materially accelerate its quantum computing roadmap and secure its fully scalable supply chain domestically with secure US-based design, packaging, and chip fabrication. IonQ will benefit from vertical integration across our increasingly interlinked quantum computing, quantum networking, quantum security, and quantum sensing applications for land, sea, air, and space, says CEO Nicola De Masi. All right, so I mean, this is obviously a move that IonQ is making because they want to be able to, yeah, I'm actually talking about it right now. They want to be able to start fabricating their own chips. They want to do it in the US, right? It'll obviously be a lot cheaper for them to do it. It'll be in favor of the US because the US wants to onshore everything. So they're going to be in favor of that one. Is it a strategic move for the company? I mean, if you think about efficiency, right? They want to basically fabricate these chips or design these chips in-house and fabricate these chips in-house. So yeah, you want to own the whole stack if you're going to do it that way, and especially talking about quantum computing. Is it a great move right now? I don't know. We'll see. But let's just look at the chart. Let's see what the price tells us. All right. I got to reshare this screen because it didn't really do it in a good one. Hold on. Wait 1 second. I don't know why I'm like losing one monitor here. For some reason, my other monitor was not working this morning. And there it is, just went again. All right, hold on. We're going to try something else here. All right, we're going to do this one. Hold on. Here we go. All right, so I'm just going to share this screen instead. Oh, ignore that. All right, here we go. So we have IonQ. Not up anymore. It's down. Wow, is this down 9%? Oh, it's down almost 9%. I thought that thing was up like 2% this morning. In fact, if I look at this chart over here, So this is where it closed. It was actually up as much as 6% today. So it made a 15% intraday move down. I don't know. It doesn't look like the market likes it, but something, the market could be wrong. I have no position in IonQ, so I don't know. And honestly, I don't really care either. I don't have a quantum computing position. If I were to bet in quantum computing, it would be in IBM or Google, one of those two. But let's look at what happened to SKYT. Okay, so SKYT faded a little bit throughout the day. And a lot of people are probably thinking, like, hold on, is there a little bit of arbitrage here? So SKYT is down about 7% from its high of day, and they're going to be acquiring at $35 per share for SKYT. Okay, so some people are thinking, like, ooh, that means I can make a quick 10% risk-free, right? No, that's not risk-free because the deal could fall through. We've seen this happen many times. I don't know if this deal is going to fall through, but it could fall through, right? And if it falls through, then that means that SKYT is probably going to go down. So I'd be a little bit careful trying to play this play for a 10% risk reward. I don't know if that's really even like a good risky play to do. Are the Qs? Oh, okay, I was like, are the Qs falling right now? Because some of these core is below $100 again. Iron is down 9%. It's a pretty big move. It just basically undid from last Friday. Nebius is down 2%. That'll be interesting to see what happens with these ones, because I thought these ones were coming back to, whoa! That's a big move for Applied Digital. Wow. Okay, so why was CoreWeave up this morning? CoreWeave was up this morning because I might have posted about it this morning. If I did, then kudos. I posted this morning. All right, so CoreWeave was up this morning because NVIDIA is investing $2 billion in the company, $87.20 per share. Their partnership is designed to accelerate the build-out of more than 5 gigawatts of AI data center capacity, or AI factories, by 2030, supporting AI adoption on a global scale. All right, so this deal is obviously here to benefit NVIDIA because CoreWeave is going to buy NVIDIA chips. Are they going to buy $2 billion of NVIDIA chips? I mean, probably not $2 billion worth, but if the price of CoreWeave appreciates, basically doubling, that means NVIDIA basically doubled their investment. And this is an investment. This isn't like the money's gone. They put $2 billion into CoreWeave, and they already own a lot of CoreWeave, right? But so they now own more CoreWeave because they bought it at a premium, because they did purchase CoreWeave originally years ago, right? So they're buying it at a premium, but this is a promise that CoreWeave will buy NVIDIA chips. So here's my money for investment. And then CoreWeave is turning around and be like, here's some of your money back for your chips, right? So there is a little bit of a back and forth here. Unfortunately, the move on a lot of these Bitcoin mining stocks and neoclouds, they didn't really stick. Nebius was at $100 this morning, and then now it's red, right? So you got to be, I keep saying this all the time. You got to be careful with this. Don't buy in the strength after the move is made, kind of buy after. So, I mean, if I was waiting to buy Nebius, and if I was looking at Nebius when it was here around like $110, like, oh man, I missed the boat, then just wait, because like not more than a week later, you could buy it at a 20% discount, right? So it's like, just wait, right? And then sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes waiting doesn't turn out that way. You know, you miss a SKYT, and okay, so you missed out because you weren't being patient. But I'm telling you guys, being patient always helps you like 90% of the time. Okay. Like being patient always helps. If you missed it, you missed it. Okay. Like that's just the way it is. Like you could have even said, if we go back here to Palantir, is like, let's go back to an example. Okay. Not the $200 example, because a lot of people even own Palantir from $10, sold at $200. So let's say you saw this massive move in Palantir at $124 back in February. Man, I missed the boat. And if you waited, you could have bought Palantir for a while down here in the $70 range. So nearly 50% discount, right? And then you probably missed the boat after that, right? But you could have just been patient after that first major move. And the same thing happened even over here. It's like, oh, I missed. Like I remember when they had their earnings, people were like, oh, wow, I really missed Palantir when it was like at $200 because it was up after hours. And like, then you waited and you could have gotten for $150. Right. And then let's just go back to the Nebius example. The Nebius example is classic, right? Oh, I should have bought Nebius over here, and then it drops down. Then you could have bought it and you would have been happy, right? Maybe taking some profits, whatever. It's like, I missed it over here too. So then you'd wait, right? It's like stocks just don't go straight up, right? I mean, yeah, you could have said you missed it here last February at $47, but then you had the opportunity again at 20. But I think it's a little bit unrealistic to say I'm going to wait till it's $20 again. I mean, like it can go to $20 again, but then you're talking about like an 80% retracement. Like that doesn't happen often. 80% retracements don't happen often. Usually when they do, they stay down there. You know, the classic case, Carvana, right? Like I don't think you're going to see a massive retracement back down to like $3. And if you do, Carvana is probably going out of business, right? Like you can't look at it, oh, I missed it, I'm going to wait for $3 again. I would not buy this at $3 because if it did this, came down to the probability of that happening again, very slim, very slim. Let's look at EOS let's look at EOS Energy for a minute, right? This is that battery technology company, not profitable, but they're getting a lot of partnerships. I wanted to buy it here. And then you wait over here and you buy it. Not me. I didn't buy it. I bought it at $3 and I obviously sold way too soon. I think I sold around $13, but it is what it is. But I mean, if you really want to buy it now, it's like, well, then just wait. Just wait for it to come down. I remember people at Oklo is like, I don't know anybody that says you want to buy Oklo. I don't know a single person, but you know, it's another one of those. But yeah, man, I mean, I would say just like wait for a lot of these prices to come back to you and see what happens. Now let's also look at Cloudflare. This thing is up insane today, 10%. Mind you, most of that move came in today. I don't know. I don't know about this chart. Like I know it looks great because it's up 10% today. It's above the 200 moving average. Perfect. It's above the 200 moving average, right? But this could easily be a back test and then continue its trend downward. Like this is a strong trend downward, right? This is a rip up higher, and this is you waiting to buy into Cloudflare, and this is you riding the wave back up. That's what you would do. But like this one, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't. This would have to make a parabolic move upward. And Cloudflare is not cheap. It is not a cheap company. This actually is decently valued. I don't know. DigitalOcean still a ways from all-time highs, but this is definitely an AI inference beneficiary. Okay, so if you think about all of that infrastructure that needs to communicate in real time with all the packets when you think about inference. So if you think about Claude Work, so Claude Work runs your computer, right? But at the end of the day, it's making queries to Anthropic Claude, which sits in the cloud, but it needs to have very fast communication in there. And that's where Cloudflare comes in because Claude Work controls like 30% of the world's traffic, right? So it is also able to speed. It has edge computing, which basically it builds all of those servers that are hosting the Anthropic models closer to you. And it's also storing the cache and storing a lot of information. So that way it doesn't need to go all the way back to Anthropic to return the query back to you. And that's where Cloudflare comes in. And that's also where DigitalOcean comes in as well. I do wonder if one day DigitalOcean could be acquired by Cloudflare. That's actually what Shai was thinking, but we'll see. But I mean, you have a lot of software stocks coming back pretty strong today. Atlassian's reporting this week. They're reporting on Thursday. It's making a big move up. Mind you, this chart still looks pretty bad. Could be open for disruption. Workday was up pretty considerably today, but then it faded a lot of that move. Datadog is up 5% today. You know, you kind of need to see these moves happen more than a couple times to actually have it stick. But still, you know, these are pretty strong moves from the top. But yeah, I digress. Where is my thing? All right. So what do I think of COPEX? Nah, I mean, I don't. I'm gonna go ahead and not buy copper, especially copper mining stocks. I don't really like to buy things after it made its massive move up. I like to just wait until it comes back down a little bit and then I buy it. But even so, I think there's much better plays than buying COPEX, in my opinion. If we are at the early innings of an AI, the fourth industrial revolution, then there's going to be lots of plays later on, right? You don't need to buy what's working today. You can always just wait and just be patient, like I've been saying. So, you know, is copper really the place to be? I mean, it probably is, right? But like, that doesn't mean that it can't pull back a little bit and get a better entry if you really want to. You know, let's say do your due diligence and make sure that's something you want to buy. And if you do, then decide when you want to buy, like some buying levels or just dollar cost average. You don't have to worry about it. Bag holder for what? All right. So I think that about wraps it up for today's show. I did cover all the topics. It's going to be a very busy week. It usually is a very busy week for me whenever it's earnings season. There's a lot of calls to go over. There's a lot of numbers to look through. There's a lot of things to report on. seeing if something's part of this. I do own Meta, so that's going to be a portfolio move. Well, not a dramatic portfolio mover, but it is going to be a portfolio move for sure. But I mean, all these bank accounts reporting, Meta, ServiceNow, Tesla, Microsoft, IBM's reporting this week, Apple. These are market movers. Like the market is going to move this week, whether you like it or not. And you also have FOMC as well. Actually, there was one thing I want to look at. The CME Fed Funds Futures. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one together. All right, so we are not getting a rate cut on Wednesday. We're going to get a pause. Why? Because 97% of big money says so. And we are only 2 days away from it. So we're going to get a pause. I think I might stream this one. We'll see. We'll see if I can do a partner stream with Ahmed or something. I don't want to overlap or anything. Might as well all just do it from one place. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys. If you're on the Twitter, go ahead and subscribe and join the show on Wolf_Financial on YouTube.